Hi, I'm Dr. R.G. Allen Wilson. You may recognize me as a leading relationship expert for TV programs such as CNN, The Today Show, Good Day Philly, Fox 29, Terman Hall Show, Mel Robbins Show, and local and national radio shows, just to name a few. I want to invite you to a very awesome opportunity that will enhance your life. Having courageous conversations that connect is key for a healthy relationship with ourselves and others. Knowing the right strategies and techniques aren't as simple as we think. There are principles to understanding how we all think and feel. Right now, you can join in my free quarantine talks to learn what others spend thousands of dollars in therapy to know. Each day, while we are in quarantine at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can watch, listen, and learn tips that will help you get through this challenging time in our lives. Here's the good news. There is absolutely no cost for you to participate. Tune in on YouTube, Facebook, and the Gram at Ask Dr. RG. I look forward to seeing you join our crew. And that's connecting relationships for epic wins. Have a beautiful day on purpose. From my heart to yours. And good morning, everyone. This is Dr. RG, yours truly, here on Thursday, September 10th, 2020, and this is the Courageous Conversations Connect Space Quarantine Talk. So welcome. I see Jen's already on. Welcome. Good morning to you. Sonia's on. Good morning, Sonia. Deborah, Reed, thank you for joining. Thank you for my YouTube family as well as my Facebook family. My IG family, we don't, Morgan, I think, needs his phone or something. So anybody that was going to join on IG, hopefully you can let them know, and then they can come on over to the YouTube page or the Facebook page. So welcome. This is the episode 76, believe it or not, episode 76. And this is I think this is like the 25th week that we've been doing this. We've been rolling, guys. We've been doing this for a long time together. So I am grateful for you, my crew. Connecting relationships for epic wins. Make sure that you tag a friend. Make sure that you let people know. Share this video. This is our community give back. And it's just been a way for us to make sure that we connect with people who we care about. Make sure that we create a safe space for people in order for us to love on them and for them to love on us. You couldn't hear me? Okay. And so Morgan's coming in here asking if I'm doing something right. I don't know. I'm always messing up something. Technologically, that's speaking. That's not my skill set. That's his skill set. So, in relationships, everybody's got to do what they do well. So anyway, yeah, Jen, 76th episode, the 25th week that we've been doing this, and since March, and it's been quite a journey, and it continues to be a journey. So I am just grateful for all of you. This week, I know you're just laughing at me, Morgan. We always are a little bit of the comedy show this morning, in the morning. I tell you, it's an interesting journey, but I would not want to be in the midst of a pandemic partner with anyone else but the love of my life, Morgan E. Wilson Jr. So love you, babe, in the other room. So listen, this week we've been talking about fit for the fight. Are you fit for the fight? Am I fit for the fight? What fight are we in? Yesterday, we talked about the fact that everybody's in a fight. You cannot avoid it. You can't be disrupted from it. You can't be distracted from it. At the end of the day, everybody's got to deal with a fight. And so this particular day, I'm going to ask us to think about standing up for the fight, right? It requires that we stand. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And sometimes, everybody's fight looks different, either their internal fight or their external fight. There's a crisis that we're experiencing. We know it in multiple different areas, and we've got to be recharged, restored, refueled, regenerated, rejuvenated, all of those things in order to be fit for this fight. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Make sure that you think about who you're breathing for and with. We're going to take a quick break from our sponsors, and we'll be right back. When we come back, we'll do our breathing exercise, and then we'll get on with the conversation. So stay with us. am back. This is Dr. RG with Courageous Conversations Connect Space. Good morning, y'all. How you doing? I see Mama Stokes is on. Good morning, Mama Stokes. And Jen's already on, and Sonia and Stephanie. So welcome, and Deborah. So welcome. Let's get right into the breathing exercise. It's 10:06, so we got a few more minutes to let a few more people kind of hop on. So tell me who you're breathing for and with. I'll share who I'm breathing for and with, and who I'm praying for. For some reason, I cannot get off my mind this teenager of a video that I saw of a young girl who was 12 in Georgia, and she was being abused by her parents. They were in a garage, and the girl had evidently, you know, children will show you better than they can tell you, and sometimes they act it out because they can't talk it out. And so she had said something, or she had tried to run away, but the way in which they handled it, you could tell, one, it was just abusive. The fact that they actually videotaped it on Facebook, the abuse, was actually the child's saving grace, because now the child is with the grandmother. But the things that they said to this child, the things that they did to this child, were just horrific. And so I'm praying for that child. I can't even remember the child's actual name, but you know, if you saw the story, you know who I'm talking about. Breathing for and any child that is being abused. We know that in the midst of these pandemics, especially COVID-19, that the elevated rates of domestic violence and child abuse has escalated. We know that people who have short fuses and poor coping skills, and not enough parenting skills, oftentimes engage in behavior that is harmful to children. So I am breathing and praying for any child that is being abused, any child that is, and I don't mean just physically or sexually, I mean emotionally, verbally, or mentally. Those are forms of abuse as well. And no child should experience that kind of abuse. And every child should be loved on and cared for and nurtured and guided, and given everything that they need to be a success, and a successful, growth up to be a successful adult and citizen. So I am breathing for all children that are being either abused or not treated well or neglected. And then I'm of course breathing for the children that are going back to school with a lot of anxiety. I saw a lot of pics on Facebook of children who even were doing online long distance learning, but they were taking pictures in front of their homes and things like that. And then some kids are doing hybrid. So I'm praying and breathing for them, as well as the parents who are dealing with anxiety. Tell me, guys, who you're breathing for and with as we go into the 10:09. So as we go into our breathing exercise, you all know we're going to breathe in oxygen. For anybody that's new to the platform, we're breathing out carbon dioxide. So we're breathing in the good stuff, breathing out the bad stuff. We're breathing in through our nose. We're holding it for 8 seconds, still in honor of George Floyd. We have not forgotten about George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery and Rayshard Brooks and Jacob Blake and so many other Black and brown men and women, boys and girls that have been attacked, in the honor of to protect and serve, but in actuality, they were harmed and hurt. So we are breathing for those as well. And then we breathe in, take in calm and peace and serenity and love, right? And hope. We still have to maintain hope. And then we're breathing out fear and worry and frustration and anger and resentment and pain. Mama Stokes says, breathing for Black and brown students that are being seen as a COVID infection risk in white communities. Gotcha. That's a good one. And Sienta, I'm breathing for African-American teacher in Colombia who died of COVID-19. I saw that last night, Sienta, on CNN, a teacher that died. And so the risk is high, right? We don't know where people are getting infected, but what we know is that there are super spreaders out there that are asymptomatic. And even though they say, okay, children may resolve it a little bit easier, there are some children that are dying. And then we know that older people who are immunocompromised are getting this disease at higher rates, and they are dying still. So Sonia Clark says, I'm breathing for my cousin who just got married 2 months ago, and she lost her husband in an accident on Saturday. Oh my goodness, I'm breathing for myself, for healing, and to let go. Got you. And we're breathing for that family who just lost their loved one. I'm so sorry to hear that. All right, let's get into our postures, babe. I just read Sonia's, babe, for her husband. I read Cience's as well. So, all right, let's go. At the sound of my voice, good morning, Charla. I'm going to ask you to breathe in, hold it for 8 seconds, and breathe out. 1, 2, 3. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. And breathe out. Breathe in. And breathe out. Last time, make it count, crew. Breathe in. And breathe out. That felt good, right? Keep doing that, guys. Keep doing that throughout the day. It's going to help with your respiratory capacity. It's going to help to build and strengthen your lungs. It helps to get oxygen through the various arteries to the various essential organs that we have in our bodies. And it helps to decrease our cortisol levels and our adrenaline levels and increase serotonin and dopamine and those hormones that help us to feel better, and just creates a state of calm when we're feeling a little bit out of sorts, if you will. And it's understandable that we feel out of sorts sometimes because, to be honest with you, things are wacky these days and there's so much going on. And so it's important for us to ground ourselves. As I said yesterday, I bookend my day with meditation, mindfulness meditation, movement, meaningful engagement, and music. That's in the morning and in the evening. So keep doing that as well. Jan says, good morning. I'm breathing for my dance sister who lost her 7-month granddaughter. Thank you for that. And so sorry to hear that, Jan. So sorry to hear that. There's so much pain out there, right, guys? We said yesterday, we all week we're talking about fit for the fight. I invited you to think about what your fight is. What are you fighting for? What are you fighting against, right? Are you in a fight for your life? I think many of us are, right? There are lots of people that are dealing with the food insecurities and the educational insecurities and the, home insecurities. There's a lot of homeless people out there. I just thought about something. I saw a new mask that was like a screen that you wear around your neck, and you pop up the screen and then you can pop it down. I thought that was an interesting, innovative idea. And they talked about people who, people from the deaf community. I hadn't thought about that before, with people from the deaf community who have to wear masks, but a lot of what they sometimes do is read sign language by lips. And so from that perspective, I always think about how blessed we really are and how others may not have the same advantages or that we have, or they may be disadvantaged. So from the deaf community's perspective, they're trying to keep themselves safe by wearing a mask, but if they can't actually read the person's lips, then it deters them or distracts them from being able to properly communicate. So I thought that mask or shield was what it was, a necklace shield that pops up. But that was kind of really cool and innovative for certain communities where the mask just doesn't work. And just think about the universal language of a smile. When you're wearing a mask, you only see the eyes, the windows to the soul, but you can't necessarily see a person's smile. So it has taken something away from us with regards to human connection. Hey, my soror, Michelle Jackson. She says, good morning, courageous family. Be encouraged, sending love our way. Thank you. Love you too, soror. So this fight that we're in, right? It doesn't have to be a bad thing, but we do need to know that we're in a fight. And quite frankly, you can't bring a knife to a a gunfight. You have to be equipped. You have to be trained. You have to be prepared. If you're going to battle with whatever battle, even if the battle is you're fighting for your rights, then it requires that we level up on our education. We level up on our preparation. We level up on our commitment. We level up on our motivation, and we level up on our inspiration. All of that is really, really important, right? And we level up on our ability to connect with each other. The fight sometimes that we're in is not always just for ourselves. Sometimes it's for each other. Sometimes it's for the children, the people that we're praying for, if you will. And so I want to talk today about standing. What are you? Hey, DJ, good morning. They have masks with clear mouths for kids and with learning disabilities. Awesome. I've seen that too as well. But they kind of were a little awkward because I think it's like, when you have if it's plastic, it might be kind of a little bit claustrophobic. At least it would be for me. So I don't know what kind of material they're using, but I think everybody's trying to be innovative. Amen. Smiling is so important, Michelle says. Absolutely. So what are you standing for? Who are you standing with? We're still in the fight for our rights for Black and brown people in this world, specifically in the United States. We are still in a fight for social equity, to dismantle systemic racism, to have a seat at the table, to not sit on the margins, to not be oppressed or left back or left out, for inclusion and belonging. We're still in a fight, and we're in that fight in the streets and in the suites. And the truth is that for many of us, there is the external messages that have been, around for many, many years that have been devised and developed to degrade. But then there are the internal messages. The truth is, are you, if we're going to be honest with ourselves, are some of us in a fight with ourselves, right? Are we not standing up for ourselves? Are we in communities or systems or relationships where we don't stand up for ourselves, where we don't speak up for ourselves, where we don't show up for ourselves, and where other people have been able to dominate us or have power, unearned power and privilege over us? I think it's important to highlight that, because sometimes what happens is we don't stand up for ourselves because perhaps we just don't have the confidence. What happens is that we get used to it. We get used to taking the back seat. Rosa Parks got used to taking the back seat, but then she had enough. If you know the story of Rosa Parks, all she wanted to do was get home. She had worked hard that day, and her feet hurt, I imagine, because many people didn't have vehicles, so they walked for various distances. And that particular day, she just decided, I just don't want to. I just don't want to sit on the front of the bus anymore. On the back of the bus anymore. I don't want to do it. So she did it. And it created a movement. A movement. What's your movement? What's your mission? How will you accomplish it? What's your motivation? If we're going to stand up for the fight, we do have to have some motivation, right? There needs to be somebody that inspires us. It can't just be aspirational. It has to be inspirational in order to motivate us. We know that voting is coming up. This election is coming up. Ballots are coming out. I hope that everybody actually signed up for their early ballot or mail-in ballot so that they can get it and then turn it into one of the satellite election centers or a drop box before the actual date of elections, which is November 3rd. And if you choose to go there early and sit there, just make sure that you're fit for the fight. It was a couple of weeks ago when they had the DNC and Michelle Obama, which will always be my FLOTUS, my first lady. She said, go prepared. Take your regular, your comfortable shoes. Take a seat. Take layers of clothing. Take a lunch. Be prepared, right? To be fit for the fight. So if you go on November 3rd, go prepared to be there all day if you have to, right? As Morgan and I were talking a couple of weeks ago when in South Africa, they sat there for days prepared to fight. Sonia says, I feel like I am at times Just had this conversation with a friend. I am at times just have this conversation with a friend. Michelle says, we are in a fight for sure. Great insight, including ourselves in the fight for what's right. Very interesting perspective. We must also fight for ourselves, happiness and peace. And she put a little heart there. Absolutely. Sonia says, great questions. We have to hold ourselves accountable. And then Michelle says, vote. I always know that Jen says this in her tag. She says, vote like your life depends on it, because it does. My girlfriend Shirley Purley said this. One of my besties said this too. Vote like your life depends on it, because it does. She was actually sending a shout out to people to pray. And I hope that in our crew, we will do this. Pray for those homes and those persons who have either lost their lives, and those firefighters in California who are dealing with those expansive flames and fires that are challenging and destroying land, homes, and possibly people. We need to pray for them as well, because those firefighters are putting their lives in danger. And we need to think of this time, this place and time that we are in some ways like that. Will you be a firefighter? Will you put your life in danger and put your life on the line in order to fight for what's right, fight for what's necessary, and stand up, speak up, and show up in ways that will help this to be a more perfect union? We are still in the yet to be United States of America. Michelle says, preparation is key. Stay ready so you can do, so that you don't have to get ready. Oh, I love that, Michelle. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Absolutely. Always be ready. And what does that mean? Well, I know we get tired, right? Most of us get tired. You know, these are challenging times in the midst of multiple crises, the intersectionality of multiple crises, financial crises, public health crises, mental health crises, levels of depression and suicidal ideation and domestic violence and gun violence elevated, right? So we're in a crisis when it comes to the state of emergency that we're all in now. People are super spreaders with COVID-19 and systemic racism. We've got protests and racial unrest. So we're in a racial crisis. We're at a tipping point, right? The intersectionality of us coming to a reckoning of who are we and who are we becoming? And what will we do to get to this place that we all aspire to? At least the most of the Black and brown people that I know aspire to not have revenge, just have a seat at the table, just have equity, just make the money. If we do a good job, if we are, leveling up on our expertise and our skills and our talents and our treasures, then we just want to be paid fairly and compensated. But oftentimes fear will interfere with that, right? And as my good friend Jean Austen Jefferson always says, fear and faith can never reside in the same space, right? And so it is not wrong to be fearful. We're all fearful of something, especially if you're gearing up for a fight. The fear actually is an indicator that lets us know something is about to happen, right? If you're not fearful about something, then you might not be actually preparing yourself for what's to come. So fear is not terribly bad if you use it as the acronym that says face everything and remain. Stand there, flat-footed, prepared, trained, ready to engage and stay engaged in your particular fight. And by the way, everybody doesn't have the same fight. What your fight is different than somebody else's fight. The young people are protesting. You might feel like you're a little too old to be out there on the front lines protesting, but your protest might be to vote. Your protest might be to stand up in your workplace. I know my protest is to do this clinical work every day to help people to keep their heads in the game. The mothers that I work with, the fathers that I work with, the C-suites, the executives that I work with. I work with people with GEDs to PhDs. It doesn't matter as long as people are wanting the help and they're wanting to address the issues of their mental health to get to a place where they're mentally well. That is my fight. That is my protest. But everybody has a different protest. And if you allow fear to paralyze you, then you'll stay stuck and you won't be fit for the fight. We believe here at Faith Connects that love, light, truth, and accountability equal hope and freedom. Well, what does that mean, right? I'm glad you asked. Like, when you think about what does that really mean, I want to challenge everybody who's a part of the crew, connecting relationships, for epic wins. Where's your light? Light casts out darkness every time. Are you showing up with your light, right? Are you showing up illuminating the presence that is you, the essence that is you, with your light, so that when people are in despair, when people are discouraged, when people are distracted, when people are feeling like there's no hope, that you show up with the light that sheds that light is at the end of the tunnel. Love. Are you showing up with your love? Are you kind? Are you generous? Are you caring? People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So if you show up caring for people and caring for humanity, even if you're struggling, that love and that light can bring about a change. Then truth. Truth is important. We have to speak truth to power in the places that be. Otherwise, we will continue to experience status quo. So that means whether it be your partner, whether it's your kids, whether it's be in the workplace, we've got to speak truth to power. And then accountability. Love, light, truth, and accountability. Hold folks accountable. Hold yourself accountable. Is the audio matching the video, or are you saying one thing but doing another? If you say you're a family person, are you doing the necessary things to give and to deposit into your family? All those things lend itself to hope and freedom, because we don't want to be in a country, in a world where there is no hope and where we're not free. We all want to be free. Jan says, fear is a place I may visit, but I refuse to live there. That's good, Jan. That's good. I like that. I like that. Michelle says, powerful. This is what I needed to hear this morning. Thank you for the blessing, Dr. R.G. Allen Wilson. I receive it. Amen to that. This is what it's all about. This is a crew. Michelle says, amen. And Angelique says, how does one person protest himself or herself? Asking for a friend. I'm tired of holding my own self back due to fear. Gotcha. That's a good question. So Angelique wants to know, how do you protest himself or herself? So think about that. Like, think even about the word.
Is it protest or protect? Does she mean protest or protect?
It says protest.
Maybe she means protect. I'm not sure.
Okay.
How does one protest him or herself? I don't know.
So it might be. So Angelique,
Okay.
Angelique, tell us, do you mean protect or do you mean protest? And then I can answer either one, because there's all kinds of ways to look at this. As we think about ourselves and holding ourselves back due to fear, let me just stay there for a moment and talk about fear. I believe that fear is a necessary emotion. I believe that all the emotions that we've got, she's saying laugh, I was being funny. Ha, laugh out loud. Okay, protest. All right, but it was kind of, but I want to still unpack it, because even though Angelique was being funny about how do you protest yourself, right? That here's my thing. Protests are meant to say that something's up. Something is not fair. There are some injustice. There is some inequity out there. There are some rights that are not being addressed in a particular group, whether it be women or men, or whether it be Black people and brown people, whoever it is, whether it be children or older people. It is meant to shed light on an issue, to let the world know, or whomever it is, that, hey, I've had enough. I've had enough of this. Enough is enough. At this point, something's got to change. Because if nothing changes, guess what? Nothing changes. Also, status quo means if you do what you've always done, guess what? You get what you've always got. So change, radical change is necessary. Even as Angelique points out, even if it's with yourself. Because the reason why I wrote this book was for people in not only relationships, but people who were in relationships with themselves. The first chapter of the book is radical self-care in action.
The purpose of radical self-care and action is in actuality to protest yourself. It is to say, like, self, because we have multiple selves anyway, right? But it's to sort of tap into that dominant self. If that dominant self has been holding you back because of fear, like Angelique talks about, it's to have the conversation with you. And it's to begin to level up on love, light, truth, and accountability that equals hope and freedom with you. So it's to say to yourself, hey, self, I've had enough. I've had enough of you allowing fear to guide you. I've had enough of allowing you to allow fear to hold you back. I've had enough of fear being the dominant, emotion in our life, all of myself. And at this point, all of ourselves, we need to do something different. So what is this something different? It's to hold you accountable. It is to level up on utilizing fear as a way to channel the energy into something positive. So that's where you use fear in its utility, in its practicality, in its profitability. You say, okay, all right, no longer are we running from things. No longer are we exiting this body called mind, body, and spirit, this vessel that I am housed in. I'm not running from myself anymore. I'm not running from all the things that I've feared over the years, and I'm willing to address it. I'm willing to face it. But my pastor says, face it, trace it, and erase it. I actually say, face it, trace it, and embrace it. Let me say that again. Face it, trace it, and embrace it, because that's how you can use fear to embrace whatever it is that you are upset about or concerned or worried about. And as you embrace it, then you can start dealing with it. Michelle says, but that was a really good question. How do you protest yourself? We are not always fair to our beliefs and good to ourselves. That's absolutely true, Michelle. We're not. We're not always fair. As a matter of fact, there's a term called fair fighting versus fear fighting. That's actually in one of my next books. And this is something I want to share with you all at the end of this talk that will help you to really process or unpack that. But just think about that from the perspective of fair fighting, FAIR, as Michelle said, or fear fighting. Fair fighting is when, even when you're with yourself, you're able to acknowledge what you've done, why you did it, try to understand it, try to process it, and then you're able to turn that pain into power if you appreciate the process. The truth is, and you all know I talk about this all the time, that sometimes we don't need anybody to hate on us because we do enough of that internally ourselves. We're our own dream squashers. We don't need somebody to dog us out. We don't need somebody to talk about us. We don't need people to demote us or, make us feel badly about ourselves, because sometimes we're all up in our heads with our stinking thinking and we're telling ourselves all these negative things, right? So if we're going to trace it, face it, and then embrace it, if we're going to do that, then we use the fear in a healthy way to grow through, not just go through, grow through the process, understanding more about ourselves. And so therefore, the protest, let's use that word, right? Because I'm a wordsmith. The protest is we're protesting the old self that was replaying the tapes over and over and over again. Because this is another thing. Y'all know this is true, right? That sometimes when you're about to make a change, when you're about to get elevated, they say new level, new devil, and there's always somebody that wants to remind you of who you used to be. Whether you were insecure, whether you were like me and didn't speak above of a whisper when I was a kid, whether you had self-esteem issues, whether you made some mistakes, there's always somebody, remember what you used to do. And then when it comes to ourselves, we start becoming that self-fulfilling prophecy, and we start reminding ourselves, you can't get that job, you can't get that promotion, you don't deserve a healthy relationship because you're not worth it. And the protest of that self is to say, enough with that stinking thinking. We're better than this. We're more worthy than we would tell ourselves, and we have profit. We're profitable, we have value. And so then we shift to the new tapes about our new version of ourselves, a higher, more elevated version of ourselves where we believe that we're worthy. Michelle again says, trace it, brace it, and embrace it. Amen. Use fear. Don't let it use you. Angelique says, yes, next book. So I'm going to tell you guys about that at the end of our time together. It's actually going to happen sooner rather than later, sometime this year. And amen. She is amazing. Thank you, my soror. I appreciate it. So y'all tell me, you all tell me, Morgan posted Slack, right? That's a term, that's a acronym that we've used in our crew to describe how we're going to show up in the midst of this pandemic. And by the way, the pandemic is not over, right? We're still in it. And so if we're going to be fit for the fight, and if we're going to stand up, show up, and speak up for this fight, then we got to cut ourselves some slack, right? We got to cut ourselves some slack so that we can move forward and continue to grow and move into the space that we were designed to be in, right? This is about a redefining and a redesigning, because our history is not meant to define us. Our history is meant to inform us. So what does Slack mean for anybody that's new, that hasn't been here on this platform before? Slack means show up. How are you showing up in your spaces and places? I'm talking about from the door. How are you showing up with yourself? Are you being okay with you? Are you affirming you? Are you elevating you? Are you opening yourself up and embracing you? How are you showing up with you first? Because you can't be good to anybody else if you're not good to you. And then how are you showing up with the people that you love? How are you showing up in your workplace? How are you showing up in your protests? Protesting for protesting the bad stuff, but also moving forward to turn your test into a testimony. How are you showing up? And then Slack or L, listen, learn, and lead. How are you listening to yourself and others? How are you learning what you need to learn? And then how are you leading in the spaces and places that you are deposited in? The acknowledgement is very key in terms of cutting ourselves some slack, because acknowledgement basically says that we acknowledge the pain, we acknowledge the injuries that we've caused ourselves, we acknowledge the hurt, but we're not going to live there. As Michelle says, we're not going to stay there. We're not going to be in a holding pattern where we're not able to not only elevate ourselves, but others. So we acknowledge what injuries, we acknowledge even our warts, the things that we've not done so well. And then we acknowledge the hope, where we're going, what we really want to do, and how we want to partner with others in order to get that done. Last two things, commitment. You got to be in it to win it. Our crew is in it to win it, connecting relationships for epic wins. I want you all, when we come back from our break, to tell me where your commitment is to yourself and to others, committing to moving to a place where we win this fight, claiming the victory in whatever fight you're in. And then finally, y'all know the K. The K is kind. Just be kind. It's a 4-letter word that is powerful. And we can't be kind to other people if we're really not kind to ourselves. So we got to start out with ourselves. So when we come back, we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll talk about how you're committed to yourself, or even how you're committed to slack, cutting yourself some slack. What is one thing that you are doing to cut yourself some slack and to move forward fit for the fight? And y'all share your stories. We want to hear them. This is our crew, connecting relationships for epic wins. Stay with us. Take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Dr. R.G. Allen Wilson. You may recognize me as a leading relationship expert for TV programs such as CNN, The Today Show, Good Day Philly, Fox 29, Terman Hall Show, Mel Robbins Show, and local and national radio shows, just to name a few. I want to invite you to a very awesome opportunity that will enhance your life. Having courageous conversations that connect is key for a healthy relationship with ourselves and others. Knowing the right strategies and techniques.
Hey there. I'm sorry. I was looking down at my phone. This is Dr. RG here. If you are just joining, this is a courageous conversation.
Sorry, guys. That was me. That was a producer error, man. I messed up on that one. Sorry about that. I cut it short, but I had my cursor on it, and my finger, the weight just. Sorry, I messed up.
Happens.
Sorry about that.
It happens. It's okay, babe. We forgive you. We forgive you. The crew's been hard on you for the last couple of weeks, so we forgive you. It's okay. We make mistakes. It's okay.
Got broad shoulders. I can take it. It's all good. Okay.
All right. So listen, guys, tell me about, or tell us, your crew. Listen, I want to have a transparent moment with you for a moment. I don't know if I say this enough. I think like in any relationship, sometimes we don't share as much from our heart as we need to. We don't allow ourselves to be vulnerable in ways that I think are helpful. I've had, you all know I do this therapy. I do therapy once I finish our show, and I'm rolling pretty long hours after this. And this work that we are doing together, you and I in this crew, gives me my love. You all give me light. You hold me accountable. You challenge me. You give me energy, and it allows me to continue to do the work that I have to do, setting the stage. So I'm so internally grateful. You know how you say that you start out trying to give back, that Morgan and I wanted to have a community give back since we were here in the quarantine in the very beginning, and everybody was in home and everybody was in the quarantine. And so we wanted to connect with people, and we wanted to create a safe space. And I don't think I anticipated is I didn't anticipate the number of people that would love on us, that we would become a family here, that this would be really a crew, connecting relationships for epic wins. That means something. We want for everybody under the sound of my voice, everyone in this connection that we're in together during this period of time, to grow through this and get to the other end, as I say, better, not bitter. And, I'm appreciative. We are appreciative that you sow into our lives the same way that we sow into yours. And so we just thank you. So BJ says, no free rent space in my head for negative thoughts. My commitment to myself is positive thoughts. Love it, BJ. Absolutely. That is the place that I say that most people cannot, there's no other place to live rent free these days, right? Everything costs something, except for in somebody's head. And so the positive thoughts of the commitment is really, really important. Michelle says, we are here for you, Dr. RG. We love you and need to pour back into you. I appreciate that. I don't take it lightly. And I fully understand the benefit of these reciprocal relationships that we've been having, these courageous conversations. My hope is that this reverberates, right? And that when we have these talks in the morning, that you then, whomever you connect with, you're willing to have those courageous conversations, that you bring people along for the ride in this crew, that we all get fit for the fight in our own little ways, so that we become stronger. And certainly that we become more loving and caring and considerate of each other. Darlene said, it's been amazing. Thank you so much, Darlene. Jen says, love and blessings to you. I so appreciate you and your true blessing to others. Thank you. Cynthia gives me hearts. Charlotte, we appreciate you both as well. And Cal says, how do we connect with you to schedule time with you? I'm not sure if I'm on the correct website. Okay, so I could say it now, actually. For anyone who wants to do therapy, or if you know of someone, Morgan just put it up on the page, 215-789-6999, or you can reach us at contactus@connectionsmatterllc.com. I continue to do this therapy. I work with individuals, couples, families, as well as corporations and C-suites. I'm actually preparing to do a couple of really big seminars and workshops with some organizations to help them to process things. And so it's been an awesome journey, and it continues to be an awesome journey. We're not done yet, right? We got work to do, crew, in this fight that we're in. And we can win, all of us collectively together, if we utilize the tools that we are leveling up on. As I say, Morgan always says, you don't bring a knife to a gunfight, right? You got to have the proper tools if you're going to be in a particular fight. Sonia says, I'm committed to taking off my mask, not the mask I wear for COVID, but the other one. It's a struggle each day to be myself and separate it once I'm home. I got you, Sonia. I love it. Because I thought that was always interesting, guys, that There are some people that are so adamant about not wearing masks, and I'm thinking to myself, well, weren't people wearing lots of masks anyway? That was a thing that people were doing. They were sort of covering up their identity or hiding from themselves and other people, or not being their true selves, really not allowing, as I like to say, the audio. I borrowed that from a friend of mine, Wharton Bellamy. He used to say, the audio doesn't match the video, right? And what that typically means is that sometimes we show up as the representative of ourselves, not our true selves. And that can be exhausting, to be somebody completely different than who you are designed to be. I'm not talking about evolving. I'm not talking about learning and growing and becoming a better and more valuable version of yourself. I'm talking about hiding and being somebody completely different. That's not cool. And so, as Sonia says, great conversation and eye opener. Let's be good to us. Can you even share? Like, do you all cut yourself some slack? Right? Do you show up as your true self? Do you listen, learn, and then become a leader? Or do you kind of cower behind someone else who has a more powerful voice just because sometimes they're bullied, right? We know that the bullies are the more like the most insecure people in the room, and they have to demote other people in order to elevate themselves. Because if you actually have true leadership skills, what that really means, if you're a servant leader, is it means that you actually are meant to serve others. You're meant to lead. You're meant to listen first and then learn and then begin to lead. So when we've not been leaders, or when we've allowed bullies to dominate the space, sometimes that doesn't allow the work to be done, the true work, in order to create equity and safety and safe spaces for all people, not just one group of people. People take issue with the concept of Black Lives Matter, BLM. And I always say, like, well, one, if you have to question why Black Lives Matter, that's problematic, right? If you have to say as a retort, all lives matter, so why do we have to say Black Lives Matter? Then you really don't understand what's going on. You really don't understand the 401 years of slavery and systemic racism and inequity and social injustices that have occurred, where people live on the margins and they don't have enough money or food or housing or education, where they just don't have the same ledger, if you will, and leveraging that other people have. And so let's just be honest with that so that we can be in the conversation. Michelle says, first seek to understand and then to be understood, a quality of a true leader. Absolutely, absolutely. And then, as we're cutting each other's slack, right? Acknowledgement is key. You ever notice that it's hard? It's necessary. Forgiveness is necessary. But isn't it much easier to forgive if the person can acknowledge that they were the one that injured you? And if they can actually say, I'm sorry, like, that was the wrong thing to do, or that was the wrong thing to say. I'm going to work on myself so that I don't get to the place where I keep doing this and re-injuring you. That's what true acknowledgement looks like. And then we can move forward from there, really committed to a healthier relationship, both with ourselves and with each other. Sometimes you got to apologize to yourself and say, I'm sorry. I've been not so nice to you. I've been pretty mean, or I've been pretty dismissive, or I've just been pretty, paralyzed. And therefore we could not move forward in the way that we needed to because we were stuck in fear. Dr. Gale says, Dr. Argy, one of the major problems with not cutting ourselves some slack is holding on to failures and insecurities and comparing our failures to success of other people. A solution in this way is thinking of accepting diversity. We are all different. So accepting others as they are is putting judgmental thinking behind us and finding meaning in our existing and learning from experiences. Accept that people have the right to make choices and act, rest, and be different. Awesome. I appreciate that, Dr. Gale. And then Deborah says, yes. Charlotte says, very true. And Michelle says, amen. So listen, this has been, when we're talking about the fight, I really want to hear from you guys. What fight are you in? Dr. Gale says, this is evident in to the contrary. What fight are you in? Because you can't be in every fight. You can't be in a war everywhere. We're not going to make it. That's not sustainable. You have to pick and choose your fight And just because it's somebody, and this is part of cutting yourself some slack, just because it's somebody else's fight doesn't mean it's your fight, right? You ever had people in a fight when they were kids or whatever, and then everybody jumped in it, and then you didn't even know what the beef was, you didn't really understand what was happening? Like, stay in your own lane. What is your fight for humanity? What is your fight for your relationship? What is your fight for yourself? Identify, be clear, be concise, be consistent. We all know that sometimes good is the enemy of great. And sometimes we just kind of have a lackluster approach because we don't have some organizational focus on what we're concentrating on. So where are you going to land? Where are you going to lean in? What focus are you going to have that allows you to be clear, concise, and consistent about your particular fight? Does that make sense? Because everybody can't be in all fights at all times, in every situation. After a while, it gets diluted, right? And then then you've lost even your knowledge of what it is that you're fighting in the first place. That's what happens when things get disorganized or people get distracted. I call it weapons of mass distraction. Michelle says, the fight that I'm in is claiming and owning my peace and learning to embrace and love myself daily. I love it. I love it. It's interesting for Michelle and the rest of the crew that sometimes when we have been given messages, not so much from trusted messengers, but external messages from other people, it's not long before we begin to internalize those messages. You ever read this book called The 4 Agreements by Miguel Ruiz? One of the 4 agreements is not personalizing. It's very hard to do when somebody's saying something about you. But the truth is that and I sort of coined this term, it's in my next book actually, called the secondary perpetrator. What is the secondary perpetrator? The secondary perpetrator is you. That someone has harmed you, someone has injured you, someone has called you names, someone has lied on you, betrayed you, whatever the deal is, right? Neglected you, abandoned you. They were the primary perpetrator. But guess who becomes the secondary perpetrator? We do, in our brains. Because now, after a while, we don't need other people to tell us these nasty things about ourselves because we're doing it. So that's why I think what Michelle is saying, which is so important, my soror, is that she's in a fight to reclaim herself, to claim the reason why she was put on this planet on purpose by design, to have peace and then to learn to embrace and love her, right? And think about it, the world has become pretty dark. Why do you think it's so dark? Oftentimes the darkness has to do with the fact that we actually have not illuminated the light within ourselves, right? It's become dark because our light has gotten dim. You ever think about a baby or a little kid when you ask them what do they want to be when they grow up? When you actually, and they give you a plethora of things. I want to do this and I want to do that, and I want to be a fireman and a police officer, and I want to be a basketball player and a dancer. Like, they have all these ideas because they're pregnant with possibility. And then after a while, teenage years, young adult years, their light starts dimming. That's the world's messaging getting to them and moving to an internal space with them where they start tamping down their illuminated light, their love for themselves, right? So I always say, dare to fall in love with you. Dare to be lovely. Have a love affair with yourself. Because I guarantee you, if you start learning to love and like you, and by the way, like is underrated, so I want you to like yourself as well, right? Just like we like on Facebook, we say hit the like button, right? Or we friend people. Well, have a love affair with you. Learn to like you. Learn to friend you. People say you got to be a friend to have a friend. Well, be friends with yourself first. And as you do that, if you're in a fight to become the best version of yourself, then guess what? Humanity wins. Your crew wins. Connecting relationships for epic wings. The people you're connected to win. because people will be better off because they connected with you, because there were touch points in your relationships where the connection was illuminating because you fell in love with you. Reconnect with you and all that is good in you. And by the way, I'm not saying that we ignore the stuff that's bad in us either. All I'm saying is the good stuff we need to celebrate, and the bad stuff we need to double down on, realizing that those are growth areas and we need to work on it. That's where we roll up our sleeves and we put the work in for ourselves to become the better versions of us. We can grow through this. We can get to the other side. We will win, but we got to do the work. Michelle says, amen. How do you reset your mindset? You know, this book, in the title, it says A Pathway to Reset Your Mindset with Intentional Thoughts from the Inside Out. That's the tagline of the book, Courageous Conversations Connect. A pathway, you know what a pathway is, to reset your mindset with intentional thoughts from the inside out. I entitled it that because I recognize that the buck stops with us. Mahatma Gandhi says it this way: we must be the change we wish to see in others. So you want change? We want the world to change? It starts with us. Creating a more perfect union where everyone has a seat at the table and where we dismantle systemic racism and address the issues of climate change and, you know, we redesign what educational systems for good education for all people mean, all children, where economic equity is a part of the discussion and discourse. It starts with us, every single one of us, no matter what the difference is, no matter what the challenges are, it starts with us. And we are like more than we are dissimilar, but we need to embrace our differences and acknowledge our similarities. So with that being said, I want to share something that's going to happen soon. And I'm going to ask Morgan to come on. Oh, we're going to take a break and then so we're going to take a quick break. Stay with us. And then I'm going to ask Morgan to come back on and we're going to share some exciting news with you as we move on with our day. So stay with us. We'll be right back. And it is yours truly, Dr. Archie, and her hubby and business partner and soulmate and everything else in between. Thank you for coming on, Morgan. I wanted you to be with me to share this exciting information with the crew. Since we are doing this together, I know you do a lot of stuff behind the scenes, but by and large, like a lot of this doesn't happen without you. So I want people to know that you are, this work that we do, this mission that we're on to create a movement of connecting relationships for epic wins, a movement of transforming individuals, couples, and corporations one courageous conversation at a time. This is our contribution to humanity. And you and I are embarking on some new exciting projects. Namely the book and some other things that we're doing. And so that we've got to sort of take a step back, recalibrate. I think the last quarter of the year is a really great time to do that in September when people are evaluating, okay, where have we been this year in 2020? Let's not cancel it because there's a lot to learn from it. We've grown through the first 3 quarters and now we're wrapping it up with the last quarter. What do we want to do in this last quarter to then move us into 2021? And so that's a part of what I wanted you to help share with our crew, and that we're going to transition to our new model next week and what things we're going to, actually be working on during that time.
Okay. All right. So I'll start it off. Okay. All right. So here's where we are. We are looking to expand and to do some phenomenal and fantastic projects, as we've been alluding to for a while now. But the realities is that we are, we're a team, but we're a small, powerful team. So I have to be very mindful. Part of my job as co-founder and part of this business and this whole brand of the Ask Dr. RG brand, I have to manage the business effectively. That's what I have to do. But I have to also manage RG's energy levels. So in order to produce, we're doing great and phenomenal content on social media platforms like Facebook and YouTube and IG. And it's been great. I mean, it's been phenomenal. We got to produce some product and some other products, like, for example, other books, the workbook, because RG every day, not only are we doing this, she's also seeing clients. And then I roll into the managerial things of running the business and, booking other engagements and things of that nature. So we do this we started off doing this every day. 5 days a week we started that. Then we cut down to 4 days a week. Now we're at 3 days a week. Okay. And it's
everybody was in quarantine at the time when we started, so everybody was home. Now
Correct.
People are working in school and things like that.
Correct. But it is it's a lot of energy, and we're a small team. We have a team of people we work with, but in terms of everything that we do across the board, it's primarily just us. So Audrey and I have been talking for a while now. How do we continue on and doing bigger and better things? And it's only 24 hours a day. So in essence, to make a long story short, we're going to turn this down to be more effective, so Audrey can have more time in her day. So in the mornings, she can produce other writings and things that make, like the book, another book, and the workbook to go along with Connections Matter, and then she can go into the master class. Exactly. Then go into her clinical day, because remember now, not only do we do this, we also do a lot of media stuff. So whether it's Today's Show, MSNBC, CNN, I mean, all the networks and so forth, they call us all the time, and then we have to kind of squeeze that in, and there's a lot of prep work to go along with that. So when you see a 2-minute or 3-minute segment, it may have taken RG, 4 hours, 5, whatever. It's a lot that goes into it. So, it's not just, hey, she gets on, light comes on, she says, talk. No, it's a lot of behind the scenes prep work to go along with all that. So I have to manage the time effectively. So we're going to, kind of take a more less is more approach, if you will. And so we're going to now go on starting next week. It'll be one day, Wednesday from 10 to 11. Okay. This will give RG in the mornings time to get up and have about a good 4 hours or so to really do the writings that she needs to do. And then in the mornings, and then she can go about her clinical day, and we can do all we have to do behind the scenes and so forth and so on. So we're going to still do a lot of stuff, but again, we're going to just take a little bit of a break, if you will. And listen, now things change, because we've been saying that we kind of think that we're going to get a second wave here in terms of the pandemic, and if things get different, then we'll have to pivot again and recalibrate how we do, because we want to, again, the main purpose of this thing was to really provide a voice for you guys, an opportunity to kind of unpack it, because people were really stressing out, and we wanted to give back to the community and to create this safe space to have the courageous conversation around what we were dealing with. And if things get worse, then we'll recalibrate and pivot and come back and provide the space on a more regular basis. But again, starting next week, we'll be on Wednesday. Just wanted to come and give you some background. We believe truth, trust, and transparency leads to transformational breakthroughs. So we want to model that and give you the truth, and that you will trust us in our transparency. Okay, that's what we really want to try to do, guys. Absolutely. And so you guys can understand what's happening here. All right. So we just give her a break. You love RG. You want to give you her full RG-ness, But we just have to
RG-ness, that's a word. Is that a word?
Yeah, it's RG-ness. It's RG-ness. Take a break and but be strategic. That's the whole thing. Part of my job is to understand strategy and then how do we use, what tactics we use from a business standpoint, a model standpoint, to really continue giving you powerful information and powerful content that will help change you and help you give the tools necessary to have the courageous conversation that connect, but overall within your relationships, whether it's personal or whether it's business. And we've been doing a lot of requests with companies and corporations. We do webinars. So again, it's just not the show. It's a lot that goes into what we do here. And just wanted to give you guys some transparency to understand what it is that we do. And it'll be some changes, and but it'll be changes for the good, because she has to get rest. Yeah.
I'll be working on the book. I'll be working on the workbook. I'll be working on the masterclass. And possibly we're talking about a podcast, maybe to launch that at the end of the year. So we might end up doing this show once a week and then doing a podcast. So we're going to figure out what that looks like, but it's going to be some good content and good information out there. Our commitment is to you, first and foremost, our crew. And I think Morgan is even working on a special kind of package subscription or something like that for the crew, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Correct.
So
that's correct.
We're excited. We are definitely excited.
True. So you guys can understand how to really get some special stuff from RG that only the crew will have access to, so it'll be our private little club, and we will expand. So, and you'll have opportunities to refer people to the crew, and it's going to be great. I mean, when we come back, our plan is to take a few minutes and again, continue every week. But then when we come back with a big splash, a big bang. And so I will tell you this, if you haven't already, please send me your email address at contactus@connectionsmatterllc.com. Again, it's contactus@connectionsmatterllc.com. Make sure that you're on the email list so you'll get the first dibs and first chance to be a part of this amazing crew. I got to tell you, like RG said, you guys, the core crew guys, you guys have been phenomenal, giving us consistent support. We love you guys, and we want to just bring value to your loyalty, and your diligence and supporting us.
We're family. We're family now.
Yes, we are family. So we love you guys. What do you always say, babe? Nothing you can do about it, right?
I want to make sure that I read.
We're gonna read some comments here. Let's see what's going on. Let's go from the top. Let's see.
Starting with
right there. There you go.
All right. Starting with Michelle says, yes, she needs to rejuvenate. Praise God. She has Morgan to protect her. Yes, I do. My provider, my protector, my praiser, all those good things. Michelle says, amen. Your crew fully supports you. Thank you so much, crew. Jen says, Jan. Time to rest. Huh?
Did you forget Jan?
Did you Jan? No, I didn't forget. Oh, I'm back. Okay. Oh, Jan says, go back, Jan. I'm back. Wonderful. How can I get your book? Courageous Conversations Connect book. So you can go to Dr. Connect, Dr. RG Connect.
I think we put up again. Yeah, Dr. RG Connect, or contact us at connectionsmatterllc.com, or but Dr. RG Connect's website, you go right on there and you can get the book there.
Yeah, Michelle says no. Jen says time to rest. For rest and recuperation is very important. Absolutely, I'm trying to model that. Although I'm doing working still during the day, but in a different way. Deborah says that we thank you and appreciate what you both have done for us. You all have done so much for us too. It's reciprocal. So thank you. Michelle says, yes, it's a word, RG-ness. RG-ness. I don't know. Morgan's making up words. He's always making up words. He always says, I leave RG evidence too. That's for another story, another time. Dan says, wonderful news. Thank you for the example and life lesson. Michelle says, amen. And Cynthia says, very understandable. Thank you for being here, and thank you for continuing to think of us on Wednesdays. We love you. We love you too, Jan. Dr. Gail Logan says, wonderful. The best to both of you with your new projects. I'm looking forward to Dr. RG's next book. Congratulations. Prioritizing and taking time out for yourselves and creative works is necessary. Absolutely. And then we've got lots of hearts and smiley faces and stuff. Think of all of it. What's your email? Michelle wants to know our email, babe. I think. Cynthia. Go ahead, babe. Cynthia
It's
put her email there.
contact@connectionsmatterllc.com.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's Cynthia soft Cynthia.
That's her
soft?
email.
Oh, okay.
Tell her
Okay.
to
No,
put
she
it.
has to tell her she has to put it. She has to send it directly. I'm not going to get it here, so you got to send it. Email us and contact us at connectionsmatterllc.com, Cynthia, and that way I'll have it and we can put it all in. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see what else here. Let's see. Oh, got it. Okay, we got it. Okay, everybody's kind of backed up here on some of this stuff. What's the email address? Let's see.
BJ said, by example, BJ said, please give the email again. We love you, Darlene. I'm done. I'm down. Love the idea. You need your rest. So thankful for the two of you in this crew. Will it be the same? So yeah, BJ, yeah, what we're doing on Wednesday is going to be the same process.
Same time, 10 o'clock.
Same time. Yeah, same time. Mm-hmm. Can't wait to see the next level. You both have made this season much more than you can imagine. Oh, that's really good. That's music to my heart. Sonia says, number back there. Okay. Proud of you both for sharing your knowledge. Karen says this has been very necessary forum throughout this time. Much appreciated. And then Michelle puts the email address. Awesome. I think we got through them all.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
You got it.
All right, guys. So we're a little bit over time, but
and there's actually, can I just? There's actually a way that you can do it, guys. Let me just get to it. Let me get to it. I'm trying to get to it where you can go in. But you know what? Right now, just go ahead and just do what I was suggesting to do. Just go ahead to contact us, and we can get it that way. Yeah, because there was some other way to do it and direct you to the website, but I can't find that little note I put up months ago for you guys because we've been doing other things. But yeah, just go right on to. Oh, here we go. Let me see. Do I have it? Don't worry about it. We'll get it later on. It's okay. Contact us at connectionsmatterllc.com. Just go there and we can do that. Hey, listen, I'm trying to do this and comment. Look, it's a lot.
All right, guys. Listen, we love you. There's nothing you can do about it. If no one else told you that they love you today, know that Morgan and RG love you very much. And we appreciate you and we thank you so much. And we will see you next Wednesday at 10 o'clock. Because we're taking a little bit of break, keep in mind, though, if you've actually subscribed to the YouTube page or Facebook, then we may do some pop-ups just to give you some good information. So look out for those pop-ups. Because I have a little bit more time to be creative, I might be thinking of something and just be in my office and be like, let me talk to the crew. So pay attention to what's happening sort of, at odd other times. Okay. All right. We love you guys. Have a beautiful day on purpose from what? Our heart to yours.